Yeah.
Let me ask you a question in your capacity as Secretary of State. We had a very interesting report break yesterday in the Intercept and later in the Washington Post about Russian hacking attempts, spear phishing. A U.S. Voting software firm was targeted and apparently penetrated by Russian hackers. As a Secretary of State, I mean, do you feel like there's anything you want to say about the integrity of the voting system here, and whether or not you think there should be any changes made to have a redundant paper ballot for all electronic ballots, that sort of
That's
thing?
a question, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so a couple of things. First, you should all know that in January, when I announced to become a candidate for governor, I recused myself. So I no longer have anything to do with actually the voter process here and haven't since January. I thought that was the right thing to do. We transferred that over to an acting Secretary of State. But we did go through all of this in 2012 with the presidential election. And what we did is we sat down with Homeland Security on both the federal and the state side and all of the election officials on a national basis to determine whether or not that our system in New Jersey was at risk. And the beautiful part about the New Jersey system is that every one of the ballots machines that you saw in there a minute ago are standalone. So the only way you could hack the actual vote in New Jersey is if you went to all 11,000 voting machines and pulled out the cartridge in the back and then tinkered with the voting outcome. So it's not connected to the internet and deliberately, so that just exactly those kinds of things can't happen. So we did have a test back in 2012. We were cleared by the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI on the federal level, and we continuously tried to upgrade the security for the registration rolls themselves, which would be where they were hacked in, or attempted hacks in Arizona. And so again, I can only speak to what was happening in 2012. I can't speak to what's going on now.
But you were not aware of
There is none.
anything in the, before you
Right.
recused yourself
Right.
in January, you were not
Well-
aware of any attempts to somehow subvert New Jersey's registration rolls, anything like that
Right.
in this past
Right,
election?
there were no attempts, we tested it with the help of the FBI and
But I mean, in
and the Homeland
2016,
Security. In 2016, I did not test it in January. That would have been up after January, the first or second week in January. I had no role in whether it was tested. I have no doubt, though, that our new protocols require us to test it to make sure it's safe. And remember, each one of the 21 counties have responsibilities for the security of their own polling areas and ballots, polling booths.
One more?